Hi, this is Mike, WB4HUC, and this is just a follow-up to the video I made previously about the instant tuning you can get out of the KAT500 tuner by pairing it up with a K3 or a K4 and then using the memories in the tuner to take you where you need to go, pretty much instantly. So what you didn't see in the other video is sort of visual indications of what was going on, or at least not many, because a lot of these things, there's no lights or indicators to tell you exactly what's happening sometimes. So I thought I would just follow this up real quick, should be shorter than the previous video, and give you a little bit of visual indication of what's happening. And okay, sorry about that. Got interrupted for a moment. But just give you a bit of a visual indication of what's going on, maybe that might give a better picture of what's happening than we did yesterday. I tend to like I'm a visual person, so I tend to like this kind of thing. So I hope you get something out of it. But anyway, what you see here is on the right is output from the HDMI connector of the K4. So this just mirrors the LCD display. This up here, the upper left, is the LP100 virtual control panel for my LP100A watt meter. This is a program I wrote that reports different information about the amplifier, the KPA500 amplifier. And this one is the one we'll be looking at the most today. This one is another program I wrote that reports information about the tuner. So we'll go briefly through this. I've talked about these two before, but they've changed a bit since the last video where I described these two programs. So they show the serial number and firmware version. They show the operating mode, manual, automatic, or bypass, which antenna is selected, and then a description of which antenna, the band you're on, the frequency the radio is tuned to, which in turn indicates the frequency that the tuner, so the tuner knows what frequency you're on. And then this one is the SWR after tuning and the SWR when the tuner's in bypass mode. So we're sitting on 80 meters, and you can see that when we're tuned, we get about a 1.13 to 1 SWR, and in bypass mode with the tuner out of line, you get up to about a 2.66 to 1 SWR. The fault code, if any, right now there's no faults, and the amplifier keying line is connected right now. So that status can be connected or interrupted. So let's go through some of the things we did before real quick and just see what changes. So I'm not going to put a signal in the air, but I am going to tune through those 50 kilohertz ranges that we talked about last time, and you won't hear the click because I don't have audio for that connected, but you will see the bypass SWR change. Apparently that gets stored in the memories also, and when I tune through these ranges, you'll see this change a little bit perhaps as we go up. So let's go to 3600. So now you see it says 3.23 to 1. I'll leave the cursor here pointing at the bypass SWR. If I go up to 3650, you can see it gets worse as we go higher in frequency. And this, of course, is what I call the quote-unquote native SWR, the antenna, without any adjustments made by the antenna tuner. So you can see as we go higher in frequency, this just gets worse and worse. So this one didn't really change, but this one will change if we put a signal in the air. So if I just find an empty spot here, hopefully empty spot, and I just tap the key a little bit, then you'll see that this one changed to give you the current SWR as I was transmitting, and this one would change too if it actually changed. And then with no faults, and we're connected. But again, the same thing. If I put the tuner in bypass mode, you can see we did that here. I leave the amplifier in operate mode. You can see that here. And we should get a fault. I'm not going to do this too many times, but we should get a fault on the amp at least, and maybe one in the tuner as well. Okay, so we did get a fault in the amplifier, fault code 09, which is excessive reflected power. And here you can see both the tune and the bypass SWR changed to the same, because we're not in tune mode. So, and it says the amplifier keying line is still connected because the tuner didn't fault. But to clear the fault in the amplifier, I just press the operate standby switch, and we cleared the fault. And if I go back to manual operation, or manual mode on the tuner, then the keying line is interrupted. But again, the first couple of times I tap the paddle, this won't change, and the power output will be in the neighborhood of 22 watts, which is what is set here. But once the tuner realizes the SWR is okay, it'll reconnect the key amplifier keying line, and we'll see more output from the amp. So keep an eye on the watt meter here as I tap the key. So that was almost instantly, and the key line is now reconnected. So a little bit different than what we had yesterday, where the tuner was getting faults, but the same principle. The amplifier keying line was disconnected, and once you tap the key a couple of times and it realizes that in manual mode, it pulls those solutions out of memory, like I say, and applies them to the tuner. The SWR is fine, and it'll reconnect the keying line. So there we go. And I can do this if I go back down. Let's get up a little bit above the band edge. And so here we show a 1.29 to 1 SWR, and I can't remember what it was a minute ago. This might be the same, but this one changed. Actually, for this antenna, the SWR goes lower, the lower in frequency you go. So now you see that the SWR when we're tuned is 1.1, and this one stayed the same. Of course, it wouldn't change, or shouldn't change, unless the wind's blowing the wire around, then it might change a little bit. So there you go. We get the same results we got yesterday, but here it's just a little bit of a more visual indication. And I just wanted to demonstrate that. So these two programs have been very useful for me. They report things where there are no indicators on the device itself to report these things. And I can kind of keep a live view of this running all the time and tell me what's going on. I can watch the temperature rise in the amplifier as we transmit. So if you watch this here, so you see as the temperature rises, it flashes yellow with the up arrow, and as the temperature falls, it flashes green with the down arrow. So there we go, it just changed. So that's kind of useful information to have. Operator standby mode. And then, of course, here we've already seen the operating mode change. We can change the antenna. And again, we can sort of cause the amplifier keying line to be interrupted by just pressing the tune button. When I press it again, we reconnect that line. So these are useful for me, but I just wanted to use them to demonstrate a little bit more of what we were looking at in the previous video, just to kind of show you what and when things were happening here. Anyway, might not be as interesting as the one was before, but a little bit more of a visual indicator here of what's going on. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching.